Hey, this is Tony with Salt Strong, and in this video I'm going to be sharing my favorite ways to rig up jerk shads to get more strikes. Now, how you rig these types of baits up is going to determine, how shallow or how deep you're fishing, and also how you actually want to present this type of lure. Now there's plenty of different brands and styles out there. This one here is our Alabama Leprechaun jerk shad. It's a 5-inch jerk shad that we make here at Salt Strong. If you are interested in picking some of these up, we do sell them on our shop page at fishstrong.com, and if you are one of our insider members, keep in mind you do get up to 20% off all tackle and gear on the page, so definitely be sure to check that out. Now, when I began inshore fishing, I was mainly using gulp jerk shads, and I was using them for a while, was having really good results with them, and pretty much mastered using a jerk shad. So it was pretty much the only lure that I had rigged up. However, what I rigged it up on was really the biggest factor. Because if you have ever seen my tackle box has a couple hard baits in it, and the rest of it is all jig heads of different sizes and also hooks of different sizes. So my favorite way to rig these up is going to be on a weedless hook. The owner twist lock hooks are by far my favorite hooks to rig jerk shads on, and I'll pretty much have two different weights but the same size hook. These are 3/0 size hooks, and then I have a 1/16 ounce, and then I have a 1/8 ounce. And I'm mainly throwing these lures in less than about 4 or less than 3 feet of water. So very shallow. These are going to be more ideal in the shallows on calm days. If you're fishing really windy days, it could be tough to use jerk shad. So if I'm sight fishing or if it's a really calm day and I'm fishing up in the shallows, this is going to be my go-to style of lure. Now, both of these weight options, the 1/8 ounce and then the 1/16 ounce, are going to be ideal in less than 3 to 4 feet of water. But depending on, how fast I want that lure to sink, or how quickly I want it to dart, or how slow or how fast I'm trying to retrieve it, will determine which size weight that I'm going to use. So if I'm going for more of a slower retrieve, where I want a slower fall and then a slower darting action, I'll go with the 1/16 ounce weight. If I want a faster fall, if the fish are being very aggressive, you want a faster fall because it'll create more of a reaction strike when that lure's darting around more. So a heavier weight can definitely help give that lure more of an erratic action. So now really quick, just to show you how to properly rig these up on these twist lock hooks. First thing you're going to do is get that centering spring centered on the nose of the bait. So make sure it is centered, or else the spring is going to, go into the bait unevenly. That can make for poor action of the lure. Can also cause it to helicopter, or it may actually come off the spring if that spring's too far off the side of the lure. So just twist it on there, make sure it's pushed all the way up very close to the eye of the hook. And then you're going to make this weedless. What you don't want to do is bury the hook into the plastic if you're going to make it weedless, because that just makes it harder for the hook to come out of the plastic and hook into the fish. So what I like to do is push the hook out of the top of the body, go through the top of the body, and then just lay that hook point right on the body there, and then just barely skin hook that lure. And that's going to keep it nice and straight. So that's another thing about rigging up jerk shads. You want to make sure they are nice and straight and streamlined. What you don't want is one that's curved or bent to the side or anything like that, because that's going to affect the action, and that's going to mess up your hookup ratio. That's going to, not really draw in the attention of the fish like a properly rigged up bait would. So after every cast, I always check to make sure, it's still weedless. Make sure it's still nice and straight, especially after you hook into a fish, or you may snag something, or if you do get a strike and miss that fish, it may affect the positioning of the lure on the hook. So make sure it is always rigged properly before you make a cast. Now, the next way that you can rig these up, I personally don't do this too much because I don't really fish these baits very deep. If you're fishing 4 feet or deeper, that's where you would probably want to go with a jig head. I know some people will also use lighter jig heads in the shallows, But a jig head is going to allow that bait to fall down to the bottom very quickly because it's going to be top heavy. You know, the weight of a jig head, that weight is forward on the head of the bait. So, you know, when it hits the water, it's going to dive straight down, as opposed to sort of like a keel weighted hook where the hook is a little further back from the eye. It's going to sort of, you know, drift and flutter down to the bottom. With a jig head, you're going to get even more of a darting action. So if you're going for a really super erratic retrieve or fishing a little deeper, that's when you would want to go with a jig head. And again, same thing, when you're rigging these up, make sure that hook rigs up on there straight. So you want to go through the middle of the nose and then out through the middle of the top of the body, like so. And then just slide that lure up onto the jig head, and there you go. So same thing, make sure the bait is nice and straight. You don't want any type of curve to that bait because it's really going to mess up the action and you're going to end up missing out on fish due to that. So aside from the actual jerk shads themselves, you can find these hooks and jig heads on our shop page as well. We do carry the owner twist lock hooks in various weights and sizes on our shop page. Again, I like to use the 1/16 ounce and also the 1/8 ounce. And both of these are in the 3/0 size. You can find them on the shop page at fishstrong.com. And also these jig heads, these are one of my favorite jig heads. They're the Saltwater Assassin, which is made by Bass Assassin. They are the Pro Elite jig heads. We also sell some of them on our shop page. So if you need some tackle, definitely be sure to check it out. So hopefully these tips will help you out when it comes to rigging up jerk shads to catch more fish. I have caught pretty much every species of fish that swims in brackish water, from sea trout, flounder, redfish, snook, tarpon, even black drum on these baits. And the one thing about these compared to paddle tails is that you sort of have to perfect that retrieve. It can vary a lot. You know, paddle tails are pretty simple. You just cast them out, reel them in if you have to. This is more of a finesse presentation. So if you need help actually, you know, learning how to present these properly and most importantly, being in the right spot at the right time, I highly recommend, you know, checking out our Salt Strong Insider Club. We do on the water reports, actually showing this stuff in action, catching fish, and we show you exactly where we're fishing so that it can help you out when you do plan your trip to get out there and catch some fish. So definitely be sure to check that out at saltstrong.com. That will wrap up this video. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them down below. Also, I'd like to know your feedback. If you have any additional tips you would like to share when it comes to rigging up jerk shads, definitely let us know in the comments down below. Till next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. If you're new to Salt Strong, just know that we're the best online fishing club in America because we actually guarantee that you'll catch more fish while saving time and also money on the tackle you need. We do this through premium education, our exclusive insider fishing community, and huge discounts on the best tackle for saltwater anglers. To learn more, go to saltstrong.com. Otherwise, we hope to see you again soon.